Howdy folks, I'm Resplendent Rhodium, recklessly ranting redundant rhymes.
I'm Amber.
And here are more redundant rhymes for us to rant? I don't understand that sentence, Amber. What does that even mean?
Well, Rhodium is ranting, and there are these rhymes, but they're all kind of redundant because they keep reciting the same rhymes.
So they're like mad. Let's get started. Alright folks, our first letter on this Monday morning is titled, Am I a Jerk for Keeping My Uncle's Money Because I Was Promised That I Would Not Have to Babysit? This summer, my family and my uncle got together in my grandmother's timeshare in Orlando to go to Disney World and Universal Studios. I wanted to go to Cape Canaveral while we were there too. As soon as I found out that my uncle was coming, I told my parents that I would not be babysitting for him on my vacation. They promised me that I would not have to do that. First 2 days went great. I got to have fun at the Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. Day 3 was Epcot, and my aunt and uncle started having a few drinks. My parents asked me to watch my cousins. I said no thanks, that I was promised that I would not have to babysit. My uncle pulled out a wad of cash and gave me $300. I was more than happy to babysit after that. It happened 2 more days. I watched my cousins 3 days and made $950. I used the money to have fun with the kids. I spent a little of it to get them snacks and drinks. Our meals were paid for by our parents. I took 1 day for myself and went to Kennedy Space Center. I had saved up my own money for the visit, but now I had cash. I paid for the VIP experience. It was amazing and I would highly recommend it. I also bought souvenirs that I would not have had the money for otherwise. I got a lightsaber and a droid and a wand at Universal. It turned out to be a pretty good vacation after all. On my way home, my father said that I had played my joke long enough and told me to give my uncle his money back. I said, she's gone, and pointed at my souvenirs. I honestly wondered where he thought I had got the money to buy everything that I wanted. He went and told my uncle that I spent it all. I actually still had $200, but I wasn't going to mention that. My mom told my dad that I had earned the money and that they had broken their promise to me that I would not have to babysit. My uncle is upset with me at keeping the money, and my father thinks that I was greedy for taking advantage of the situation. I think that he means I tricked his drunk brother. Alright folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. They told you they were paying you. You said, I'm not babysitting. They're like, okay, here, have some cash. How are you supposed to know this money was not actually meant for you?
Yeah, there was no way that OP could have known that this was actually like fake transactions. They spent the money on the kids, so their kids actually ended up having a good time as well. So it wasn't like OP spent all of the money on themselves. And even if they had, it was still their money to use to babysit.
Right, exactly. Like, I think your dad and uncle are being really shady here, expecting you to babysit. Like, oh, no, you don't have to babysit. Oh, we'll pay you, but you don't actually get to keep this money. This is just some kind of game we're playing to make you babysit.
Yeah. So if the dad is this worried, then he can pay the uncle $450 and they can split the childcare costs.
Yeah.
I don't think that OP's in the wrong though. I think that this was a pretty clear contract. They said that if you take care of the kids, we'll give you $300. So OP took care of the kids and got $300. I do not see how OP could have had that go differently. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Aggressive Mind 2085 says, not a jerk, magnificent. You got paid and refused to let them cheat you. Well done. And Heavy Sand 5228 says, and now your whole family understands that you will not be walked all over in the future. Brilliant.
And I think that's an important point too, is it really does show, like, if you promise OP you're going to give them money, you have to pay up.
Yeah, there are consequences. And you paid. And Puddle Jumper 4 says, this is probably more valuable than the cash going forward. Being known in the family as the money babysitter means that OP will either be paid in advance or will be free to enjoy the vacation going forward. And Traveler 691 says, can you imagine giving $300 to a teenager and expecting it back? I cannot imagine what a bizarre game they thought that they were playing. I mean, I don't even know if OP is a teenager, right?
Right, it's not clear what their age is, but can you imagine giving any person of any age, like, here, I'm telling you I'm giving you this money, but you need to secretly read my mind and know that I'm not actually giving you this money.
Yeah. Alright folks, our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Spending $45,000 of my husband and I's money to collect a $5,000 judgment from my ex? I'm a 45-year-old female. And the only good thing about my ex-boyfriend is that he is the dad of my 2 kids, a 16-year-old female and a 13-year-old female. We split 10 years ago, we never married. I started wedding planning business shortly after we got together and hired him as an office manager. That's when the full force of his narcissism came to light. Basically, he lied about his previous work experience and treated the credit card that I gave him for business expenses as his own piggy bank, flirted with other women, and was destructive and vindictive employee. I will take the responsibility. I jumped into owning my business and made some mistakes. I did not know at the time what was important or how to strategize. The business went bankrupt, and our relationship blew up. I sued him for property destruction and conversion. Basically the civil version of saying he stole from me, among other things. He humiliated me by saying that I was sexually harassing him. I was eventually awarded an amount that is around $5,000 today, factoring in interest. I thought that I owed one because he had filed for bankruptcy before and could not for many years. He then started this game of chicken with me, and I felt that I needed justice, especially because the cops refused to charge him for what he's done. It has been a game of whack-a-mole ever since. At first, he would quit jobs once we found out that he was working there. He worked under the table for a little while, lived with another girlfriend, and then moved to a state where you couldn't garnish wages. I spent countless hours with expensive lawyers, first fighting the case, which he dragged out, plus chasing him around, throwing around subpoenas. My ex has since developed a false sense of security and has been working openly. I told my husband that I wanted to get him to pay up before he files for bankruptcy or spends all of his money. He was upset because outside of the first $10,000 that I spent fighting this, $25,000 was our money. But legally, if I could just get my ex, I would collect the cost out of him as well. After I put down the $5,000 retainer, my ex quit his job, and I realized that I would need a PI to help gather information. The retainer has all been but spent. I get that this sounds insane, but it is the principle of it for me. He made years of my life horrible. Yet, my previously supportive husband said that I, as one of the heads of our household, and every leader has to understand when a war is expensive, and at times the cure is worse than the disease. He said that my ex will never make me financially whole, and that he did not want our money to keep funding this. I was furious, and we lapsed into a screaming match, and asked him to leave for the night. I could not believe that he was withdrawing support. We make $80,000 a year, we're frugal, but what was the point of the money if it wasn't used for things that we value? But now the investigation was bearing fruit. But I just wrote another check for $5,000 and anticipate having to write a third one. The check's funds came from transferring from our savings account. My husband is furious for that and said that I was setting a bad example for the girls. Am I the jerk for needing justice for the pain he caused me? All right, folks, what do you think? Should OP read the story of Moby Dick?
Yeah, OP, you are the jerk here. This is not your money to do with as you please. This is household finances. You are part of a family. You need to be making decisions with your partner as a team, not blowing $45,000 just so you can make your ex suffer. I understand this is frustrating. I understand you want him to pay. But the best way you can do this is just move on with your life and don't give him the satisfaction of like knowing that you still care about him.
Yeah. This is a really difficult situation because I see where OP is coming from, because OP is under the impression that they'll collect legal fees, I think. And so hopefully that means that they'll end up recouping the cost of the $45,000, right? But I don't know. I don't know if that's what's going to end up happening here. And then again, like what OP said, what happens if he declares bankruptcy? You can't get blood out of a stone, right? So this might be one of those situations where waging this any further is just not worth it, that he's not ever going to have the money to pay OP back.
And like, so what if you get the money back? Like, is that really going to fix the anger you have for your ex? Like, I think investing in therapy to get over this relationship might be a better use of your money than hiring all these PIs and tracking him to the ends of the earth.
Yeah, I just don't know that this is a fiscally responsible decision, and I think that's where OP's husband is coming from here. That there is, of course, some level of investment in this, but I think at this point in time, this is kind of the sunk cost fallacy.
Mm-hmm.
OP's already put a lot of money into this, and we are psychologically wired that when we put money or resources into something, that we want to continue to do that, even though it might be a really bad idea. So OP needs to take a good hard look at themselves and understand their reasoning for doing this, because I think that there are just some quirks of psychology working against them, and that maybe if they sat down with somebody who can help them work through these feelings, that they'll understand that it isn't worth continuing to dump money in this.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're not gonna, even if you get that $5,000 back, it's at what cost? Like, you are not only spending a lot of your household resources, but you're straining your current marriage. You're so hung up on your ex and stuck in the past that you are inadvertently ruining your future, your present and future.
Yeah, exactly. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck, OP. And IO Tech says, you blew $45,000 because of pride. You absolutely are ridiculous and a jerk. And pun intended, 1234 says, there's a saying about revenge that applies here. If you seek revenge, you should dig 2 graves. How much time and money have you wasted on this stupid fight, and how much are you going to lose to keep it going? You have a new husband and a new lease on life, but you are so consumed with anger, hatred, and revenge that you are willing to lose everything for even a piece of this so-called justice. Why? You made poor choices with your ex, and now you're making even worse ones. You want to put everything on your ex. It's your fault that he had access to your credit card. It's your fault that you brought him into your business without knowing who he was. And he stole, and you won the judgment against him. But guess what? Your obsessive nature has now placed him in a position to win again. You're going to blow up your marriage, and you still won't have that $5,000. But you will have another demolished relationship due to your poor decisions. Stop. If you're in the United States and your ex tries to declare bankruptcy, you can literally go to his bankruptcy hearing and ask to be added as a creditor and fight for the bankruptcy. If you don't stop, you're going to win $5,000 but lose everything else. Please get regular and consistent counseling. You have children to raise, and if your ex dodging this debt is an indication, then I bet he isn't willing to be there for his kids. You chose him, they didn't. They need a mother and stability, not a woman so bent on vengeance that she would sacrifice everything and everyone for a pittance. Accept that you did wrong and that he did wrong, and you can't change the past. You can only make better decisions now. Right now, you aren't doing that. You're behaving poorly when your kids need you the most, and you're wasting the only resource that you can never get back, your time. Your kids will be grown before you know it. Don't waste their childhood trying to attack their father for what he did, focusing on creating a beautiful life for yourself and your kids and your husband. I mean, I think that says a lot right there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that person has a lot of good points. Though I wouldn't blame OP for being trusting of their husband,
Well,
right?
exactly. I mean, I think that part what misses the mark a little bit, because while OP may be legally on the hook, it doesn't mean that they are a bad person or did wrong for putting faith in an employee.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the courts proved that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the courts have said that OP should have been compensated for that wrongdoing. Stealing is stealing. Don't blame the person who's being stolen from.
Mm-hmm.
Blame the person who is doing the stealing.
Yeah.
And Ellis Bapp says, you have children to raise. Man, I wonder how much of the college money went into this. Plus time, energy that could have been spent in making more than the $80,000 a year. Your ultimate revenge on him could have been more successful than him, and that you didn't need his money to take care of the kids. Wow, you're the jerk.
One of my favorite adages is the best revenge is a life well lived.
And OP replies, are you kidding me? For many of the years, we've only had a rough idea of where in the country he's been living because he's such a nomad who cannot keep a job. He's not paid a dime of child support. If he did, maybe I would be more keen on forgiving his debt to me. The kids only know him by his first name, and that he is probably living off of some family member or another woman that he managed to trick into thinking that he's a good person. I really feel bad for OP here. I mean, I think that they're a very angry person, and I think they have right to be, right? But Again, this isn't healthy to obsess at this point in time.
No, and they're only hurting themselves. And I mean, again, I think therapy would be a much better investment.
And OP replies, he's been picking up and moving for the past decade. He does not even send the kids Christmas cards. And as far as the courts know, he is always unemployed and has no capability to get consistent work. So I haven't seen a dime in child support. And even Spoonier says, no jerks here, but you're letting this consume you. I understand wanting justice, but at this point you're hurting yourself more than you're hurting him. Is it really worth having that additional pain? Maybe you decide that it is, and if that happens, then you do what you need to do, but there are other people involved in this now that may need to do what they need to do. You have the right to go down with the ship if that's what you really want to do, but you don't have the right to drag others down with you without their consent. And OP replies, I just lay awake thinking about him living off unreported cash and then laughing at me. Like I said, I think OP needs a therapy more than anything at this point in time, and I feel so bad for them because this is just the classic tale of Moby Dick right here. Alright folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she's got a joke.
What's Godzilla's favorite sport?
I can tell you exactly what Godzilla's favorite sport is because Godzilla and I, we're close. We're good friends, Amber. And we like to watch volleyball together. In fact, I mean, Godzilla likes volleyball. I'm not much of a fan, but I'm not going to argue with someone who's the size of a skyscraper, right? I mean, that's just not a wise move. You're not going to be like, hey, Godzilla, let's go watch baseball instead. He'll step on you.
That's why Godzilla's favorite game is squash.
Oh, squash. And I have Mega Mint. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Manic Monday. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it based off a classical story.
The best I've got is we're all mad here.
You know, that's still a classic story, and it counts just as fine. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.